One of my favorite nights out of the past year, you were a part of it.
Maybe offense isn't the right word. I was in chaos.
Yeah.
Like it's covered in tarps.
Right.
But they still come.
Yeah.
And what people don't know, I mean, it says it, and I don't want to cut you off. It's like that whole area is like, there's murderers there. There's terrorists there all around that area. Iris Global is a Christ-centered missions organization founded by Roland and Heidi Baker over 30 years ago. Iris is committed to training and sending out missionaries to the nations, and we are dedicated to sharing God's love as we serve the poor, the destitute, and the forgotten through practical acts of service. With over 70 ministry locations in 37 nations, we are empowered by the love of God to stop for the one in need. Our heartbeat of Iris is to bring light into darkness, healing to the broken, and love to the unloved, one person at a time.
Well, one of my favorite nights that I've had, it was about a year ago.
Hold on, are we in it? Are we doing this?
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, hi. How are you? Good to see you.
We've been talking for a long time.
It's good to be on your podcast, man. Thank you.
Last time you were here, you were filming a show, but for somebody else.
Yeah.
So a lot of people use the studio. But you're here now doing this episode with me. One of my favorite nights out of the past year, you were a part of it. And tell me if you remember this. I had invited Brian Welch from Korn to come.
Oh, yeah.
He comes and shares his testimony. He's rocking and rolling up there from the stage. I called you. I said, I feel like people are going to get baptized today.
Yeah.
I just feel like it.
Yeah.
And you're like, you want me to bring some towels? I was like, yes. And then you forgot. You
I did. I totally forgot.
You didn't bring one towel with you. But anyways, that's okay. I had already baptized like 70 people that day in the lake.
Really?
Yeah, like 77 people, I think, earlier that day in the lake. And then, so I just I'm feeling it. It's in the air.
Yeah.
And so then we get there. We get the baptism tank set up.
Yeah.
He gives his little testimony, like 30 minutes, shares his testimony.
It's awesome.
You get up. You're like, hey, I just want you to know. You're like 3 minutes in. We have a baptism tank over here. And this little girl, Becca's daughter.
Okay.
Do you know her?
Yes.
Yes.
Shay. Yeah.
She runs up and she's like, I'm getting baptized. And you're like, just go. Right now you go. You're like, Tyler, baptize her now. It's like 3 minutes into your sermon.
Wow.
And so I'm like, now? While you're preaching? You're like, go for it. And you're like,
Why not?
Anybody else that wants to get baptized? And a line formed. We were at Rocketown. A line forms down the wall.
Wow.
And we baptized people for like the next 4 hours in that room.
Come on.
You were there, bro.
I feel like, did I do any baptizing?
No, you were preaching.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
While all the baptisms were happening.
I love that, man. Baptism is so powerful. It is so powerful. And I'm watching. We've baptized more people at the church that I go to in the last year than I think the previous 20 years or something crazy. Like the number was crazy. People are hungry right now.
You know, one of the things on that day, earlier that day in the lake when I'm baptizing people, this girl comes down. She's probably 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And I felt the Lord say to ask her this question. Hey, what things do you want to keep dead in the water when you come out? And I'd never even had the thought to asking somebody that question. She says a couple things, anxiety and this or that, blah, blah, blah. And when she comes out of the water, I could feel it. There was a difference. She did a big post on social media directly after kind of outlining what happened. She was I was feeling this and he said this and I got baptized and I felt complete freedom.
Yeah.
And so it was almost like a new learning that God was giving me as it pertains to baptism.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, you're buried in death with Christ.
Yep.
But all that old part of you can be buried too. And then it's almost like they're renouncing it. What things do you want to come out of agreement with in this new life that you're having? And you can have new life. So when we were baptizing all those people on the day that you were at, that's what we started asking them that question.
Yeah.
And people were coming out of the water. They were receiving deliverance. They're being filled in the Spirit.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Dude, I love it, man. I love that stuff.
You were there.
Were you, dude, I honestly,
Tell me what
don't
you remember from that day.
I remember being introduced by Brian and being like, this is one of, like, if you would have told me in high school, because I mean, like, I listened to those guys in high school.
Huge Korn fan?
Yeah, totally. 100%. Loved it. I actually, one of the reasons why I learned to play the bagpipes, which I play like poorly now, was because of that band. And I just, that was crazy. Just being introduced by Brian was crazy. He's such a good man. He really is. He's a very humble man. And I love that guy. I don't know. Dude, it's a blur. It was about a year ago. I feel like it was
a year ago.
January?
No, it was September.
September?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a year and 4 months ago.
Yeah. I just remember being cold. But I loved that night. I've had so many great times with you and your crew and your team. Are you still doing those down there at Rocketown?
We're doing them at a church now.
Okay.
But yeah, we might go back to Rocketown. Just depends on who, you kind of juggle each event with who. And we're doing it around the world. So
that's what I've heard.
We're actually going to...
You're going to Japan.
Going to Japan. We're going to do a partnership with the Iris team there and the Global Awakening team in March. Super excited about that.
Come on. Have you been to Japan?
Yeah, twice.
Okay.
I'm excited to go. And I didn't go for ministry stuff before. I just mainly went for sushi. But yeah, I'm getting to go for ministry stuff now. Here's why we're doing it. A couple things happen. Number one, we're praying. Glenn, who's the producer here.
What's up, Glenn?
He's been a long-term missionary. He's had it on his heart, kind of pushing us directionally as a ministry for Japan. But a couple things happened to me where I felt like it was confirmed. One, I had saw this report, and I've since verified that the Muslims, I thought the original report I heard said spent $5 billion, but I went and fact checked it. It was like $900 million. The Muslims spent $900 million across 5 years in Japan and converted one person, and it was a tourist.
Yeah.
And so I felt like the Lord said, imagine if you just go with the Spirit of the Lord. So we want to go with 0.00001% of that budget.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and see what God can do just in the Spirit. I was also watching the World Series, and I realized, like, man, how come there hasn't been Japanese people before? And like, I did this whole big deep dive on Japan and the culture and the relationship with the United States and the athletes and all this stuff. And I just felt like the Lord said, you're supposed to go. There's going to be an openness now to what God wants to do in that nation where there wasn't before.
Yeah.
And I think in part it has to do with the baseball players coming and the American culture starting to intersect in certain ways. So I just felt it in my spirit.
Yeah.
Glenn, who's over here, was at VOA at the time. And I said, I just felt like the Lord spoke to me and said, we're supposed to go to Japan. He's like, me too, while he was at VOA. And you were speaking at it. So
come on. My son went there. My son lived there for a little while. Yeah. Yeah. So the people that lead are Irish.
By the way, your son texted me and said, if you mention him, stop you.
Okay.
But I think you should still tell the story.
My son moved out there I think when he was 16. Yeah. He actually turned 17 out there. But not to talk about you, buddy. He moved in with our missionaries there, Herb and Lorelei Barbuti. One of my favorite last names ever. And Herb and his wife, they planted a base in Brazil. It just exploded. It's still going on today. And I love our crew because they were like, where's the hardest nation? They weren't said, Lord, tell me a nation to go to. The question was like, where's the most difficult? And Japan is known as one of like the missionary graveyards in the world. And they went there. And man, I'm not saying that it's been easy. It is. There's a challenge there, but they're leading people to the Lord and discipling people. Josh, sorry, buddy, he told me some just incredible stories of just being out ministering on the streets. It is a different culture.
I mean, I invited your son to come to my church.
You know, you're talking about him. Okay.
I know. I invited him to come to my church and share about just his exploits with the Lord, and he talked primarily about what happened in Japan.
Yeah.
And he was speaking to our student ministry, and he inspired a lot of students.
Wow.
By what God was doing. So we're excited. We're going to go.
I love that.
We're doing them still. We're doing them around the nation. We just did one in Georgia. We partnered with a ministry in Georgia that's like an ecumenical community, mainly Catholic people. And then we did one a couple months ago with Randy here.
Yep.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't go.
Yeah, I'm aware of your.
I love him. My wife went and spent some time with him. Something was going on.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Dude, I don't know how you do it. You seem to be doing like everything all at once. I don't get it. Has it slowed down since you've got married?
Well, no. The rhythms are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got to be way more intentional with my time.
Dude, I don't know how you do it. You do so much. I feel like I can barely keep my head above water, especially with you throw travel on top of it. It's
Bro,
just like,
how can you say that? Because you're now you're a lead pastor of a growing, thriving church.
is this where it's going
Is
publicly
this
on this?
Is this the first public announcement?
By your decision? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I actually have kept it. I've 100% kept it.
Dude, we need to edit that.
No,
part
no,
out.
no. Listen, I don't care. My life is my life, and I love all of it. I have not shared it publicly, which I have no problem, like absolutely no problem. But I've intentionally not, just because I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want people to come along and realize how little I know and how much of a learning process there is. And that's one thing. And also the other reason is I know that I would get some people that would just come because, the history with me, and just, for me, my heart is just so much for that local community that isn't just like I don't want to throw around any,
Which you're in a small town.
yeah.
Great community.
Which I actually, people keep asking me, do I want to rename the church?
Yeah.
Because the church is named after the town. It's like,
It used to be called something Baptist Church.
yeah. And now it's just the church of this town. And like, I love it. I think it's this beautiful representation of community.
Yeah.
And we get people from all over. It's actually incredible. Some people come in, they fly in, they drive in. But I love watching that local community come in and just encounter the Lord.
I mean, it's interesting the times that I've been, just the demographic that's coming. I mean, you're kind of getting like a little of everybody.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You're getting business leaders.
Yeah.
I mean, you look over, there might be a Grammy Award winner.
Yep.
You look over, there might be, a mom with 5 kids.
Yeah.
You look over, it's just everybody.
It is. It's really fun. It's really hard. You did it. You pastored for years. I feel like that's a term that you actually need to earn. Like, I don't feel like when people started calling me that, which has only been a very short period of time. I just felt like I'm unworthy.
It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there serving for almost 2 years, but it just feels weird because I just think the way that I look at it is like, you got to be a father, right? You got to be a shepherd. And I feel like that's earned. Like, it's almost like holding my newborn son. Like, you're a dad. And I'm like, I don't even know.
You're like,
I like have this life.
Yeah.
This little life. I don't know how to feed it. I don't know how to do anything. They send you home with one. You just go to a hospital or whatever, and like you go home with a kid.
Yeah.
And it was just awkward and confusing. And so coming from the itinerant lifestyle, that's switching my mindset.
Yeah.
And like, it has been hard, but I've enjoyed it.
A couple of things that I think are most difficult about it, just from a practical standpoint, would be, one, when you're traveling and you're speaking, you kind of can...
Dude, you can just roll in and be like, bang, bang, bang. Here's my best message that I'm hearing the Lord say.
Best catchphrases, best stories.
Yeah.
It's almost like a stand-up comedian has, a special they work on for the whole year.
100%.
But then when you're at a church, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Because where I was pastoring, I would preach usually 50 of the 52 Sundays in a year.
Wow.
So then you're like, coming up with that amount of content, that amount of stories, that amount of illustrations, and not reusing the same catchphrases, the same
hard.
Jokes. Yeah.
It's hard. So I'm doing, by the way, respect to every pastor watching this. Like, I've always loved pastors, but there's something that I'm appreciating now. The complexity, the difficulty, it really is. It is incredible. Like, it is a calling. I don't know if I have it yet, but I'm in it. And the coming up, so we're doing 2 services right now. We're doing a Sunday morning and a Wednesday. And the Wednesday is a little bit more loose, more geared towards ministry. And coming up with 2 messages.
Yeah.
It's difficult, dude. Do you know what so here's my rhythm right now. And I don't know if I should put this out there, but like Saturday night, like 10 o'clock at night, I start.
Yeah.
writing. Like, and of course there's things that are going on in my heart.
Yeah.
But I'm just, I'm working, I'm doing Iris
Yep.
that whole week, and I'm filling in other things and kids and wife and all the things. And so usually the time where I can like focus is like Saturday night, 10 o'clock. And I'll go to like 1 in the morning, Sunday morning,
Yeah.
catch a couple hours sleep, but I wake up like panicking a little bit, and then go to church, and then come home and crash.
Yeah.
But we have now people, my wife does a discipleship program right after church at her house. So it's just like, it's everything. It's in everything. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So a little backdrop, like Larry Randolph, who's kind of a really well-known prophetic voice, has been for years.
Especially kind of a Revival Alliance, that whole sort of stream.
Yeah, like Larry, it's funny, Larry's always been like on his own. Like I think a lot of prophetic voices are. And but yeah, very much connected. But he would do crazy stuff with people that I, with ministries and churches that I never heard of. He has I think 60 years he was in ministry.
Wow.
Yeah, just absolutely nuts. And so he was pastoring there, and he asked me about a year and a half ago to come and help him.
And he brought a lot of growth and stability to that church.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It was a challenge because it was a Baptist church, and then you get like Larry in there.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of change. What I really appreciated about at least where I'm at today is that Larry laid all the hard groundwork so that I can come in and like it's so much easier. Yeah. Because of the groundwork that he laid. He laid a lot of
he turned the ship in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and created a hunger for the prophetic and for the move of God. And dude, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Just speaking about the prophetic.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk around the prophetic.
Right.
Right. And this is something that I'm processing. And so as a local pastor guy, and you've, did this for years, what is your perspective on the prophetic and pastoring, right? Like the more that I am thinking about it, the more I'm like, man, the prophetic is really local.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it really is. It works so beautifully locally. It's maybe kind of changed my view on like, prophesy to nations and prophesy all these big things.
I heard a pastor recently talking about this, and he said that the prophetic is supposed to happen relationally, and that it's actually more effective the better you know somebody. And I've always kind of been on the opposite because I'm like, I'd rather not know anything.
That's how I don't want to know anything about any. In fact, when I know someone, I pull back because I have an opinion.
So the argument that he was making was like, you prophesy in part and see in part, but when you know somebody's story, you're able to better put some pieces together. And there's actually like a discernment that happens on that. So that has to happen. I mean, you have, but when you're ministering to the same, that was the second thing I was going to say, besides just the 52-week spanking machines we call it. Those sermons are coming every week, and the problems in the ministry and the hospital visits and all that happens. The other part of it, it's the same group of people, right?
Yeah.
And so it can't just be, hey, I released a prophetic word and prayed for them, impartation. The prophetic stuff that you have is in the confines of relationship.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a new skill in a way that the Lord teaches you how to navigate. Because you almost have to be even more careful about what you say.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So for me, the tension is in like that faith aspect, because I mean, 20 something years I've been traveling around, just running and gunning, right? And seeing incredible miracles. But man, slowing down, I'm much more in my head, which I would say that the Lord knows I need that in this season, right? Yeah. But I'm just finding myself just slowing down and thinking through a lot more than when those moments where I was just go by faith and it was accurate, right? And you're just like, wow, like that's incredible. Like I just find myself slowing down a lot more and being a lot more hesitant.
Yeah.
But dude, it's all new.
That for me, you're raising great questions that are things I think and do. But we have no problem in our team praying and prophesying over each other. It's actually a regular rhythm that we get into. Yeah. But it also creates a measure of accountability. And that's super important. And that's actually what's missing a lot in the prophetic. Yeah. It's like, R.T. Kendall, who's been on this show many times and a good friend, he often talks about, prophetic accountability and what that looks like and why there should be a framework in it. And it strengthens the prophetic to have that. It doesn't dilute it.
No, it doesn't. It's important. I think, some of the prophetic voices that I respect the most, they're older in years. They're fathers. They've been through it. I've totally enjoyed my time with Larry and I've learned a lot from him.
Bro, I just had Colby on this show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we were at, we had a service that we were part of recently, and a guy prophesied over him that he was going to write a historical fiction romance novels.
Okay.
And so I was like,
he's got that chiseled jawline. It makes sense. Yeah.
No. So when Colby was on the show, I'm like, Colby, we're going to react to your prophetic word that you got.
I love that.
I played it.
Seriously?
Yes.
I will watch it. Have you put that out yet?
Put it out.
Okay,
yet.
I will watch that.
I wanted him to react to the.
That's awesome.
To the prophetic. He's like, honestly, I don't see me doing it. But I'm like, you never know, dude. You might. You already wrote a book. Why not? Why not a romance novel?
That's the craziest thing about the prophetic, man. Like, I literally came from a meeting with five business guys that came up from the South. And they rented Airbnb.
We're in the South.
Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
More South.
Yeah,
Deep South.
Yeah. And how that whole thing came about was this dude was doing business in town. He wanted to go to church on a Sunday, and he looked up like what churches start at 10 a.m. Because he was like, I don't want to go to an early service, and I don't want to go to a later service because it'll like mess up my day. So he ends up at our church.
No way.
Yeah.
He didn't know who you were?
No, has no idea. No, at least from what I remember of the story. No, I don't think so. No, I'm pretty sure he didn't. No. And I call him out, give him a word, gets rocked, brings up, a few months later, brings up a bunch of businessmen, and we do like a couple of day just retreat with them, just pouring into them something. And we just did that again. But those things are what I love about the prophetic. Like, I'm watching God move.
Yeah.
So beautifully. And the power of the prophetic is, dude, there's stuff that I can't even talk about it because it's opening up doors into places that I never imagined I would ever be able to walk in.
Yeah.
Like crazy stuff.
Yeah. Justin Allen prophesied to our group when we first got started, and he said, little rooms hold lots of glory. And I just thought about how that prophetic word over the ministry, over my life, actually propels me into believing that. Like he was like green rooms and conference rooms and board rooms, and little rooms hold lots of glory. Like and it has been in a sense directional, but then you go into those rooms and you're bringing, Holy Spirit insight, and then I found myself in rooms like that I never thought I would be in since I got that word from him, and I'm utterly dependent, like a leech, onto the Holy Spirit, because I know in my own merit I'm not qualified.
Totally. Dude, I can't tell people where about it. I need to wear a suit.
Yeah.
Okay, and a tie.
I like that.
And it happened. The whole thing happened because of a little prayer meeting. That I was at. Gave some dude a word. He goes back, tells his boss. Next thing you know, I get an email. Hey, we want you to come. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I shouldn't be going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like this, and I go in and have to go through security, and there's dudes like being like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I don't know. I just got an email. Like I'm supposed to be here.
So, will@gmail.com.
And literally I go into this room, and all of everybody else was asked to leave. And I'm sitting with this guy, and he's like, and what he says is, I don't know why you're here. And I was like, I don't know why I'm here either. He's like, I've heard about this. And I said, well, let me get to know you. So we chatted for a little bit. And then with like fear, I shared this little word that I felt. Like,
did you go in with the word, or you got it once you got?
50% before, 50% in the room. But the chunk that was before, as I shared it in humility, like, hey, this was what I heard, please, like, tell me if I'm off, was right on. And he said, in fact, only 2 people know about that, or 3 people know about that.
Wow.
At all. And
So then from there, I spoke a little bit more boldness into what I felt like the reason why the Lord was sharing that. All that being said, the prophetic, I've seen it in this season. Number one, open up doors for me personally, which I don't care as much as about. There's things that are exciting and fun. I'm not going to lie. And if anybody tells you that they don't like and enjoy that, they're lying to you. It's fun. It's kind of a thrill.
Yeah.
Like even like getting to know like Brian, like these are people that you look up to, and that like when you're in high school, you're just like, I don't know if I'll ever be doing anything with my life, and now you get to meet some really cool people. But what I have been seeing is the Lord bringing in believers that grew up around the church, but never believed in the supernatural. I'm watching the prophetic in those small settings. And I had a friend of mine that we've been doing them maybe once every 2-3 weeks. He'll gather 5 people that are hungry. And a lot of the times it's the first time they've ever received a prophetic word. And to watch what's happening, to watch this move, we've prayed for almost, I would say, I think around 200 people.
Wow.
Individually. Me and some buddies, another pastor. And it's just like, we'll put 7-8 guys in a room and just go for it. It's been some of the most fun I've had in ministry in the last 3 years.
Wow.
And watching like people come alive.
Yeah.
Like I knew this. I just had a meeting last week with a guy that came from Kentucky, businessman. I don't even remember fully how this happened, but I spent the day with him, and Baptist, cessationist. I don't think by like heart, I just think by culture.
Yeah.
And he started telling me these stories. And this is one thing that I've noticed. When you get to an individual and you're like, what has God done in your life? They start sharing things.
Yep.
And it totally is the opposite of their theology.
Right.
It's like 100%.
It's a different vocabulary.
Totally different vocabulary. But he was sharing with me. He's like, you might find this crazy, but I had a house that I wanted to buy and build. And I had this image in my mind of what I wanted. And then I talked to someone and they said, well, that house, I've seen one like it 2 states away. So we were on our way to Florida and we drove through these states and I just ended up driving up to this famous house that looked exactly what I wanted. And what do you know? It was an open house and I could go in and walk through it. There was no one there, but the house was open. And my wife and I got to design our house based off of this house that we saw in a picture. It was like they saw it in a picture in a magazine. And next thing you know, they're walking through it 2 states away. And it's just like, he's like, how crazy is that? And then like shares another story and another story. I'm like, dude, like you're hearing God.
Yeah.
Like you're being led by him.
And you're following him. Yeah.
Yes. And, and then once he found like that was safe, and he was like, well, I had this dream. I had this, like, I don't know what to call it. Like, I spent an hour just going over vernacular. I'm like, you're saying this, and you hear me say this. It's the same thing, you know? And it was so beautiful.
But the guard goes up on the charismatic language.
Yeah.
As someone who's spent extensive time in that world of, cultural cessationists, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Just because, like, small town church, kind of like, probably not in practice. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when they need healing, all of a sudden they believe in healing.
Right.
But they wouldn't believe it in the same way where we'd say, come forward if you need healing, we're going to pray for you.
Right.
But they're in the hospital, like
100%.
So there's that whole world but I love helping the brain sort of synapses happen with people and then watching them light up and seeing people empowered in that way. And then they're like, oh, I do this. I do hear God. I just use different words.
Do you know who R.C. Sproul is? He's passed away.
Yeah.
I actually think he's a fantastic teacher in a lot of ways. I disagree with a few main theological points that he has, but I love good teachers, and I even try to listen to people I disagree with. And I was listening to some old teaching from R.C., and he shares, it's like early on, it's like young R.C., and he shares this moment that changed his life. And it was like a dude, forgive me, I'm going to butcher this, but because it's been a while since I've listened to it, but basically like he was trying to make this major life decision. I think he was newly married, and they had this opportunity to go and take on this role at I believe it was some Christian university. And some guy that like didn't know him or knew him from like 10 or 20 years prior, had a dream, calls him up, says, I had this dream that you were going to, and like so clearly, like the Lord is saying, do this. And like RC's like, I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't know why that happened. I don't think that should happen. But you just see this, like this tension of trying to fit God into their theology.
Yeah.
And on the opposite end, our camp, we just call everything God and everything supernatural. But I just love it. In fact, I have a hard time finding a Christian that doesn't have some miracle testimony in their walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
Of some capacity.
Of them or someone they love.
100%.
I do something that you're talking about. We're talking about basically a spectrum, essentially. There's people who would be on, that'd be charismatic, but maybe on a theology that we would totally disagree with, and even though they're charismatic. And there's one in particular story that you tell about a prosperity gospel person.
Bro. Yeah.
That you guys were in a situation at Iris.
I don't like it.
Bro, it's
but I
messed
love
with
it.
me. It's like when you told me that story, I don't want to say the person's name, but when I hear people talking about that person, I'm like, hey, here's what I know about that person.
Dude. And the crazy thing is, I had Andrew Womack on. What an amazing man. He was sharing stories with me off camera about this person. Blew my mind.
Can you share what happened?
Okay, so I don't know if those who are watching this know this. So I get the joy of running with a crazy, radical, on fire, in love with Jesus group of missionaries called Iris Global.
In addition to your role at your church?
Yes, but for the last 10 years, well, it's been 20 years of my life I've been connected, but the last 10 years I've been CEO of Iris Global, which is the ministry of Heidi Rollin Baker. We are 78 locations in 39 or something like that nations. It expands and grows and shrinks, and it's hard to keep track of it all. But a chunk of nations, chunk of bases, and Heidi and Rollin, we have 5 core values. One of those core values is we are entirely dependent on miracles to sustain us, to prove the work of the Lord in our midst, to direct us. And that's not like, do a miracle, Lord, and then, no, it's just like, it's part of our culture. Like, we're dependent on the miraculous. And so one of the ways that Heidi and Rollin, from the beginning of their ministry up until today, is they said, we never want to be beggars, right? They saw something in the missions world of missionaries, coming off the field, marching around, getting their support. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that. I think that that's important. The Bible says, it's clear. Paul asked for money, and I think I have no problem with that. But Heidi and Rollin had this thing from the Lord, was like, no, we're not going to ask. If the Lord is calling us, he's going to provide. So when I step in as CEO of Iris, that's not my, we don't, my wife and I never lived that way, where we were just running around asking everybody for money. But
as a missionary, that's almost part of what you have to do.
It's part of the call. So I need Iris to sustain, needs, maybe at the time this was around $30,000, $32,000. Now it's about $38,000 a day. Needs to come in every day. God's been so good, and this is part of the university that God's built. But yeah, we're about a $14 million a year ministry, and every penny is coming from the goodness of God. Okay, that's awesome when the money comes in.
Yeah.
Right? And so historically, I think a lot of ministries, when things get tight, they reach out to their... Am I going too long on this?
No, this is perfect.
I want to explain the why this rocked me so much. So a lot of ministries, they'll reach out to their top donors, and we have people that give so much, and it's mind-boggling. But as I think it was during the summer where giving was down, and then it was like really, really down. And Heidi, the faith that her and Rollin carry is,
because you were
it's
sensing
not fair.
Like, we're gonna have to cut.
No, so I'm in a place. So things go from like bad to worse to worse to worse. And I'm a new CEO at the time, so I think it was about 7 years ago. I'm a new CEO. I'm like learning how to lead a team and be like, Heidi, we got to do this, and like you've given me this thing to steward, and I believe in stewarding it with, I'm using all the vernacular to try to justify, like, let me reach out and ask for money, because if not, I'm going to have to fire people that you hired that we all love, and they've been here for a long time. And Heidi's like, no, Will. I'm like, well, what are we going to do? And she's like, we fall on our face. And there's something beautiful about what this is. It puts us on our face instead of going to people.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I need to let 5 people go.
Yeah.
To begin, and that won't even fix the problem.
Yeah. Just helps the cash flow temporarily.
For like a week.
Yeah.
Like, and so we're at a point now where I cut my salary, I cut like our top 7 people's salaries, and we're not like this opulent ministry that pays high salaries. We're not.
Well, all those records are public. If you may want to,
people can go online and look themselves. Like, we are not. So we hack salaries, and then we're hacking base budgets, and this is actually affecting people who are eating. Like, this isn't. So we're at this place. Like, people aren't getting fed. I fly to Brazil, and at this point, I'm on this plane. I'm on, America to Brazil, and I'm like, this is when I'm going to put my big boy pants on and like stand up and be like, no, like, this is my job. You hired me in, and I am going to, like, I'm going to fire these people, and I'm going to, like, we have to do this. And so I got all this energy. I land in Brazil. It's the next morning. I call Heidi. I'm like, Heidi, we need to fire 5 people. I've put out the fleece. We fasted. We've prayed. Like, I need to let these people go. And this is step 1 of step 5, right? She goes, Will, I'm running into a meeting or something. Like, just call me when you land in Rio. And so I had Sao Paulo to Rio. I'm like, okay, I'm calling you, and we're gonna have the conversation. So I land. I fly an hour flight. I land. I go to pick up the phone to call Heidi. And as I'm picking it up to press dial, a text message comes in. And it was my finance team back on the ground. And we needed like $210,000 to get through the next 5 days. And then I think it was like the next month, and then some of the monthly donors would have like given, and $210,000. And I look at the phone, and there's a check from a very well-known prosperity preacher that I had mocked. Like, I had publicly used this ministry as the blunt end of my jokes.
Yeah.
And like, because everybody else does, and it's obvious. And it was a check, a personal check from this man and his wife, and with a handwritten letter. And here's what it said. It said, Dear Heidi, Rollin, and any team member that gets this, I want you to know that we love your ministry, and my wife and I pray for you guys constantly, and we want to keep giving. We want to keep sowing into you. The Lord spoke this to me about 2 weeks ago. I wrote the check out, and I put it on my desk, and I forgot to send it. And he wrote, like, I hope this isn't too late.
Wow.
Signed, dated, handwritten letter. And I'm on my way to call Heidi. I'm like, Heidi, we just got a check. And he said, you'll never guess from who. And she goes, Will, like, there's always enough, which is one of her, like, taglines. It's one of her book titles. And something died in me that day.
Yeah.
And
because it was like the exact amount.
It was the exact amount. And it was like, it was 210,000. Like, I know for some ministries it's not a big deal. Like, for us, that's a game changer. It got us through. And I realized something. One, it's not my job to fix Heidi or Rolland or a ministry. It's my job to serve, and it's my job to trust. And honestly, since that, there's been times that have been tough. That pressure, I used to go to bed at night with like a knot. How are we going to get $30,000 the next day? Like, how is this going to happen? And from that point on, I've just, like,
there's always enough.
I mean, there truly is. And it's one of the things that I love about the mission. I'm sorry, that was a long story, but
that was a perfect story, because that's one of the points that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
And that's just so indicative of, and that person in particular, is somebody that everybody talks bad about online all the time.
Yeah.
And then then there's 100 of these stories that people don't know anything about.
Yeah. Dude, I had a guy recently gave, and I won't say how much. I don't want to, but I will say this: it was one of the biggest gifts that I've ever seen come into the ministry. Didn't even know Iris.
Wow.
Called a friend. He said, "Hey, I have this money I need to get rid of," and the friend goes, "Oh, send it there." He goes, "Okay."
Wow. God's will, God's bill.
It paid for a massive chunk of this.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mozambique's beautiful, isn't it?
Bro, it is stunning.
Yeah.
So this is Cabo Delgado. This is the coastline. So it's the northern province in Mozambique. And Pemba, this is on the outskirts of Pemba, but Pemba is this stunning bay. It's beautiful. Some pristine reefs.
Yeah.
But also some of the poorest of the poor. Also, it's currently been in war for the last 7 years.
When I see some of the pictures of the coastline, I'm like, that is one of the most beautiful coastlines I think that I see.
It's stunning.
Talk about that, because I remember probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Heidi's in town and she brings a few pastors with her.
Yeah.
And they're just like losing it, laughing, going crazy.
Yeah.
And she started to kind of sense, I feel like, that some people in the church were like, is this what we're doing today? Mm-hmm. And then she was like, I'm sorry, this is therapy for us. She's like, their family just got held hostage in front of them and said, turn away from Christ or we'll behead them. And she's like, their whole family just got all their heads cut off.
Yeah.
And now we're here. So God's healing us.
Yeah.
And I think the whole room was like,
yeah, people, they like to judge. We like to judge. It's funny. Nothing's more controversial than joy.
especially.
It's true.
But then then people become okay with it whenever, Heidi kind of starts to tell the story of why everybody's in that condition. They're like, oh, you guys are dealing with life and death every single day.
Yeah, joy has to make sense to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's too much joy.
Yeah.
Oh, it really, there's nothing more offensive to the lukewarm than joy, than unadulterated joy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to show you something. So what we deal with on a daily basis, and when I say we, like not me, I get to sit in the safety of America, but we deal with,
as a ministry.
Yeah. We deal with this all day.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I don't want that to be seen.
It's horrible.
Okay. That is one of our pastors.
I would say the only thing I've ever seen that was close to that was I watched.
If that did go out,
it didn't get on.
Okay.
Only thing I've seen that was close to that was the Israel Consulate General. I did a meeting with them, and they showed me all the unedited footage of October 7th.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing that I've seen to that.
That's one of hundreds and hundreds of photos. Well over 100 photos that I've seen. I've actually stopped getting them because it you can never unsee these things. That was recent from some of our workers' family who was a pastor. So that was sent by one of our leaders. That is happening daily.
Wow.
I mean, people have heard about what's going on in Nigeria. Something very, very similar on a smaller scale, but still massive. It's created over 1 million IDPs, internally displaced people, in northern Mozambique. And so that is the backdrop of that joy. So when you see that joy in people, there is joy in the midst of suffering.
And then, we were talking some before we started recording just about some of the music that's coming out of this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's songs that are centered around joy.
Yeah. I sat with some of our pastors. This was a few years ago. This has been going on for 7 years, and it fluctuates. It ebbs and flows. But over the last few years, it's getting worse and worse. It was about 2 years ago, maybe 3. I don't remember, but I was out. It kind of all blends together after a little while. But I was out in Mozambique, and I was sitting with some of our pastors, and they started to share stories of that and their kids, and worse than that, actually. which is hard to imagine. And at the end of them sharing these stories, they prayed. And I got to see them worship.
Wow.
They prayed and they worshiped and they laughed. And the next day I grabbed one of them and I was like, I need help.
Yeah.
Literally halfway through their stories, I ran out of the room and vomited.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even, physically I couldn't take it. Because we were sitting eating lunch together and Heidi goes, I want you to tell Will what's going on. And I had a guest with me from a ministry that deals with the persecuted church. And so we're there. I run off, I puke, I come back, I listen to the stories. And it's hard to hear hell on earth.
Yeah.
And then see prayer and celebration. They're polar opposites in my mind.
Yeah.
And the only way I can describe it is like,
especially when the prayers are meant to invoke heaven on earth.
Yeah. Like I was offended. And that's the only way I can describe it. Even though I wasn't offended, it was like
it's not like you had a personal angst, but I get what you said.
I was like, how
sandpaper.
does this happen? What maybe offense isn't the right word. I was just like, I was in chaos because what I was feeling was I didn't have this faith.
Yeah.
I'd been walking with the Lord infinitely longer. You know, like I can be like, yeah, we went through cancer twice with my wife, and that was the hardest thing I've ever, and that was very, very hard. It was insanely difficult. But then you get in front of this and you're like, I had a hard time worshiping, knowing that we had some of the best doctors at Vanderbilt down the street, right? Like in the world. And I had thousands of people praying for me and my family. So you get with that and you're like, how do you have this joy? And so it was the next day, we went on outreach with the pastors, and they're up dancing and jumping around, and they're leading people to the Lord, fully knowing that some of their kids have been abducted. One of them, their wives was abducted. And like, they're not just sitting there.
Yeah. Like
their wives are being abused and their kids are being abused. And they know this, this isn't a question. And I grabbed one and I said, how, like, help me understand. Is there a verse? Is there like how did you do this? How did you walk through this? And one of them, I'll never forget it, dude. I will never forget this moment. He said, as I was walking out of my village or running, he's like, there was piles of bodies.
Oh my gosh.
And he said, I just started praying, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will. And he's like, there were bodies everywhere. He's like, I will fear no evil. Thy rod and thy staff, you comfort me. And then he said this, you prepare a table before me. Yeah. And this was right after we had eaten. He's like, look, we're sitting here, we're eating. How can I be sad? He's like, I'm sad, but like, look at, I can see him moving in the midst. He's like, we just had chicken, Will.
Yeah.
He goes, he prepared a table before us. And I realized that I just don't have faith. Like I don't love the Lord as much as they do.
Yeah.
And that's, I think when people read the Beatitudes, is this too heavy?
No,
like I don't want to depress people, but like this is real. And like when you read the Beatitudes and it says, blessed are the poor.
Yeah.
Like there's something there. There's actually this simplicity, this beauty, this heartbeat of like, I don't have anything except him.
I think that's what struck me most. That service that I'm talking about that Heidi was at, where she had brought a few of these pastors that had just lost their families, and they're finding joy in that. These songs that are released on Iris Global YouTube channel.
Yeah, the church is torn apart.
Yeah.
Like it's covered in tarps.
Right.
But they still come.
Yeah.
And what people don't know, I mean, it says it, and I don't want to cut you off. It's like that whole area is like, there's murderers there. There's terrorists there all around that area.
So by act and virtue of singing that song, it's a target on their back.
100%.
And yet here they are. And
100%.
They're singing about joy, and they're making a film, and they're putting it on the internet for the world to see. And the songs are good. Yeah.
They're real.
Yeah.
If people don't know what we're talking about, you can YouTube me, not Miezi. Gosh, help me, Lord. What is it?
I just YouTubed Iris Global.
Yeah, Iris Global in Kele. And
Good job, Glenn.
yeah, thank you, sir. Ninkele or something like that. Einkele. Yeah, Nkele. You'll figure it out. Listen to it; it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How hard is it to live in this juxtaposition, especially folks in Mozambique, and you lived there for a long time, that they're suffering persecution unto death, and yet some of the most radical miracles they've seen happen.
Yeah.
And that's a tension of like, you know, people in Franklin, Tennessee don't deal with, where they're having to deal with evil and good at the same time, because a lot of people's lives are beyond blessed in the culture that we live in.
Yeah.
And they, not that they don't have times of suffering or times of bad, but it's not on the same degree.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to deal with this idea of the very present, you call it hell on earth, evil lurking in the same way that,
Yeah.
and then at the same time, seeing the most radical miracles. Isn't that a crazy tension? Like
is.
it's the best of times, it's the worst of times,
It
kind
is.
of a thing.
Right now, when you go into a village, or when our team, and this isn't even me, like we have a team that's doing this, and there's times that I get to go, but like when you go to the camps, the IDP camps, and you just sit and listen to people. You don't have any answers. You're just sitting and you're listening. Like you hear the worst. It's not like one horror story, one miracle, but the craziest things I've seen. So when we went to this one IDP camp,
In Mozambique?
yeah, Heidi told me that they're rioting for Bibles. And if I can be honest, I didn't believe it, because I'd lived in Mozambique. I've gone on feedings, right, where we're feeding the poor, and I've never seen a riot over Bibles. I have seen riots over food. And so I heard her say, and I thought, part of me thought that it was like this, exaggeration. And I got there and I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. They were rioting for the Bible. These solar audio Bibles that we use, they're incredible tools. They were like fighting to get a Bible. They wanted a Bible, and they were starving. These are IDP camps. Like they wanted a Bible more than they wanted the rice and beans and manna packs that we were sending out there. That is a miracle. These are unreached people groups for the most part. And Makua, Makandi, Mwani, Mau. And like to see that, those are things that we used to pray for when I was living over there and as a missionary. It's hard. So that's miraculous. But the crazy miracles that I'm hearing now, it kind of gives you the faith to keep going on. One that I heard recently was two women. Can I share this?
Yeah.
I had two women that were abducted. So what happens?
Well, I don't know what you're going to share, but yes, you have permission.
These villagers, thank you. There's thousands of remote villages, and a village is just a community of huts, and some are big, some are small. But the combatants, they come in, the terrorists, they come in the middle of the night and they set house on fire, and they will abduct women, bring them back to be used as slaves. In their camps, and then so you have these fighters in there, and they move, right, because they find out where they're at, and they come in and forces try to fight them, but they're constantly moving. And so you had these two women that were taken from their village, and I think held for like 8 months, and the group of terrorists was moving to another location, and these women had a moment where they, in the line walking through the woods, like they made a run for it.
Wow.
And so you got to understand, they're not like healthy.
Yeah.
Like physically healthy.
Yeah.
Like they've been used and abused for 8 months.
Wow.
And they get this courage up to make a run as they're on this path, and they just take off, and they're running. No water, no food, no shoes, and they run and they escape. And we have a missionary on our farm named Liz. And we have a farm so you have Pema, and then the farm's outside.
I think I met her before.
Liz is.
She's been here?
Yeah, I've had her on my podcast.
Okay. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
She's the one whose dad passed away?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Dude,
connected with Stephanie.
That
Yeah.
was your craziest episode, in my opinion.
Bro, so you guys should all watch it. So Liz, Liz is telling me this testimony because one of these women shows up on her farm after this. So they run, and they're running through, I think they said 5 days. So
Wow.
they're drinking out of pools of pond scum. They're starving. And they said 5 days we ran into 2 Rwandan soldiers. Okay, so Rwanda had sent groups over to battle these insurgents. It's still growing, but and one of the women makes it to the farm where Liz is, and she starts telling her this story. Yeah, she goes, "How did you find out how to come here?" She goes, "We ran into 2 Rwandan soldiers." She said they were like 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall, and they were dressed in white.
You're
And
like,
Liz, this is Makua Makandi, and it's getting translated to Portuguese with like this worker that Liz has on her farm. And then Liz, who speaks Portuguese, is like, "What? White? Like they're dressed in white?" The Rwandan soldiers, they wear black. And she tells the woman, like, "Hey, like the Rwandan soldiers wear black. They're definitely not 6, 7 feet tall.
8 feet tall.
Yeah, like they're not." And the woman goes, "No, they were dressed in white." And so Liz is like, "Oh, she must be like really traumatized." And the woman goes, "It was the color of milk." And Liz is like, "Okay, white." And they came across
Like,
these 2 men.
righty or white it is.
These 2 men in white standing taller, and they said, "Go here and go here, go to this place, and go to the farm. Wow, you'll find what you're looking for there." And Liz led her to the Lord.
Do you think it was angels?
Bro, 100%, 100%,
What else could it be, right?
100%, 100%. And so that's one story in the midst of hundreds of like what the picture that I showed you.
Yes.
And so that it's hard, but God is moving, and I don't know why those women and not the children. I don't know why.
How do you wrestle with that? What's your theological framework to say that we have to deal with this level of evil, but we get to live out the very best of the goodness of God too?
Yeah, great question, and I don't know if I have the answer for it. First of all, I would say my opinion doesn't matter as much. I would ask more of the people that are there.
Yeah.
And what I've heard from them is he's good. And that there is an understanding of suffering. So like in Iris, we have 5 core values. I mentioned one, like we're entirely dependent on the miraculous. But another one of our core values is we will suffer for him if necessary.
Yeah.
And so you cannot escape suffering.
Yeah.
Jesus turns to the 12 and he says, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you eat, what you drink, what you wear, your body. Is life not more important than clothes? Clothes not more important than food? Or look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. So therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, for the pagans run after these things." And Jesus is telling this to the disciples,
Yeah.
11 of which are going to be tortured for their faith.
Yeah.
Right? So like, how does that make sense? I think
None of it makes sense. It's a holy mystery, I suppose.
yes. So suffering is something that none of us get to escape. And so one of the dangers, and I get this all the time, is comparison.
Yeah.
And I do want to speak to that. It's like comparison is very dangerous,
Sure.
right? So you get a lot of people in the States are like, "I want to be there. Or they're better. Or this." Like we can't look at it that way. There are poor, sick, dying people here. They just look different than there.
Yeah.
They look different. You have the wealthiest of wealthy that have lived their whole lives building their kingdom, and they're dying. Their children hate them. They're dying on the inside, and they are tortured every day. I'm not comparing it, but one is ongoing. The other one is temporal.
Sure.
It's very temporary.
Sure.
And it's hard. I don't have the answers. Here's what I know. I will suffer for him if necessary. If necessary is the important one. And then very, very closely connected with that core value is our one that comes after that, which is joy is not an option in the midst of suffering. So we say we drink from the cup of joy in suffering. Suffering, it's not the end. There is a place with God in the Spirit where you are sustained in the midst of suffering by his joy. And that is a hard thing that most people wrestle with.
What do you think most people misunderstand or get wrong about Iris?
There's a lot. I think so. Foolishness. People look, I would say, at some of Iris, and they see Heidi or me or anyone talking about the presence of God and getting, you see Heidi like fully undone by God, and they think that she's crazy, or they think that she's like, and what they don't understand is that when she flies back to Mozambique, like she is the same way.
Yeah.
She's fully dependent on God.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
I mean, I've seen her that way in green rooms. I've seen her at dinners that way. I've seen her in rooms of 3 people that way.
People think it's an act or a spiel, and it's not. See, when it's hard. Like, that's why I tell people, in fact, more than one critic of the movement, there's more than one, and I can name names, but I'm not going to. I've extended invitations to them. Don't just look at a clip and then mark this as chaos. Like, first of all, Heidi has her PhD from King's.
Yeah.
Like,
in systematic theology.
She's brilliant. I've read her doctoral theses. She's brilliant.
I've read hers and Roland.
Yeah. Roland, brilliant. Like, they are.
And his is on Iris and the core values.
Yeah, the core values. It's incredible.
Yeah.
They're brilliant. They can run in circles with anyone, but they're totally dependent on God. And for them, that looks like abandonment. And for the lukewarm, or for those who have it all figured out, it looks crazy. But you can't sustain yourself on the front lines.
Yeah.
You can't sustain yourself off of hearing bad news all day, every day, nonstop, and not be full of joy, and not have the drink from the cup of joy and suffering. Like, I think a lot of it, they look at her, and they look at some of our missionaries as Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it takes a special person.
I've seen interviews of people who were critical of Iris and Heidi, and they interview her, and by the end of it, they're in tears.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also seen
in a good way.
Yeah, no, that's what dude, I'm not here serving Iris because like I'm some super missionary.
Yeah.
I encountered the Holy Spirit, gave my life to the Lord on the missions field. I went to Paraguay. I encountered revival there, right?
Met your wife.
Met my wife. Moved back, started itinerating with Randy Clark.
Great man.
And for me, it was all the same, right? It was like, God's using me, God's calling me. But something dried up inside of my soul, not because of Randy, just me. I was growing, but I started to go to these churches, and people were encountering the Holy Spirit, and then I'd go back to the church the next year, and they'd be lining up asking God to do the same thing.
Yeah.
What'd you do with your last touch from heaven?
Right. And so what people don't see with Heidi is that she encountered the Lord. They were burnt out missionaries.
Yeah.
They had this crazy encounter with the Lord, doing it in their own strength, building the 2 children's home they had in like 1 or 2 churches. There's thousands of churches now.
Yeah.
That encounter that they had, that surrender, that full surrender, that happened. The churches, the revival, the move of God, like Mozambique, the Makua, the Makandi are now a reached people group.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have to look at the fruit of what's going on. And I think when people see her, they see the surrender that she has, or what appears to them to be foolishness. And I'm not even gonna lie. I look at it at times, I'm like, man, please, Lord, I don't ever want that. Like, that's would be embarrassing for me. I see it the same in Mozambique, and I see a woman who has done more with her life and her yes than any 30 critics combined in a room. And I'm not talking about their love for the Lord. I'm not judging their hearts. I'm just saying, like,
Just the fruit.
The fruit. And I'm telling you, Satan does not do that.
Yeah.
So that's hard for people. As I've introduced new friends that are just coming into the move of the Spirit, they're like, "Whoa, what is that?" It is offensive.
Yeah,
it is offensive. Radical joy is offensive. Surrender is offensive.
childlikeness from a PhD is offensive.
She built. Okay, so like, can I just? I apologize, Heidi, if you ever hear this, because she doesn't. I don't need to talk highly of Heidi. I know where they are, but like, can I just?
Sure.
I just want people to think about this. Think of the greatest revivalist you've ever met. Right? Like, think of someone that's done something for the Lord, right? Okay, awesome. Now put that person in the midst of extreme poverty where people are stealing from you, robbing you, right? Like, you're physically taking in the poor, the sick, the needy, the broken, and in a place where it's insanely difficult to get to. Everything is breaking down. Nothing works. People are dying of malaria around you. Like, think of the greatest revivalist in America or like leader that's built something. Now put them in the middle of nowhere and see if they build the same thing.
With no resources.
With like not asking anyone for money. Boom. Okay, so Heidi and Roland, and they would not like me saying this because they don't look at themselves this way, but Heidi and Roland have planted thousands of churches. Whether it's them or their pastors, first of all, they have a Bible school for pastors, which train thousands. They have a mission school that is send out so many people. Like, currently we have 500 full-time ministries and 8,000 that have gone through our mission school. Okay. They've planted, like I said, churches. She has built a base bigger than this at another location down the road. Like, brought in thousands of people into Mozambique. She writes books. She itinerates, travels around and preaches.
The whole world.
The whole world. All the while taking in kids, raising up team members, being intentional with people. Listen, up until when I came on, she was basically the one with a team that was managing all of the national side of all the things. Her and Roland. It was like, this is one little marriage that could barely do 2 children's homes and a couple of churches in Mozambique. Boom, the power of God comes.
Yeah.
And they became a voice to the charismatic movement and outside, going, do something with what you've received. Go to the poor. This works amongst the poor, the sick, the needy, and the broken. You put that in a 5-foot-something package from Laguna and tell me that's not miraculous? Like, I don't know anybody that's done that.
Yeah.
And she doesn't live in a nice house. She doesn't she drives a Land Rover, and she drives on outreach. Like, it's crazy.
Like, when you say Land Rover, he doesn't mean like the 2025.
No. Like the boxy thing with no air conditioning. I was there when we hit a pig and took out our air conditioning.
Like Desert Storm 93 type Land Rover.
The entire time surrounded by 20 kids going, Mama Ida, while she's answering the phone, dealing with issues and taking care of people and loving missionaries and loving kids and praying for the sick and pastoring a church and like it is built. And then on top of it, getting a dream to build a university in a war zone. Yeah. Not asking anybody for money, like all of this, every piece of this land. I don't know, maybe the last few years, but when I was a missionary there, she would go down because she had a vision from the Lord to build a university, and she would meet with individuals. This happened over years and years, and they were selling a little piece of land, and she would buy it, and then buy another little piece, just teeny little pieces here and there, and because she had a vision from God that Pemba would be one of the greatest schools in Mozambique and prayerfully Africa. No one had ever started a university in northern Mozambique.
Wow.
They had taken a university model from the south, Maputo, which is a bigger city, and done a branch. From what I know, she's the first person to ever start a university in Cabo Delgado.
There's 2 things I want to say. I'll go back to the school in just a second.
And it's bigger than this by now. It's actually grown.
Well, you should update the photos on Google Images.
Try. Dude, no internet? You got to understand, we didn't even have the internet up there. Forever. It's crazy. Never mind.
Do you have Starlink? at least by now.
By now we do, but back in the day, me and Rollin rented like some machine and we positioned a satellite dish. It was like thousands of dollars a month. Like this is back in the day.
I wish you guys would redo Mama Heidi documentary, but do it for 2026, because this was 2003 or 4. This documentary came out. It's on YouTube and Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's one of my favorite films. But there's a scene in it where she goes to the gas station. Her truck is full of orphans that she's picking up off the street to give them a safe place to live in, and have food and stuff like that. And like these people steal money from her, and she's this little woman taking care of these, and she goes and confronts them. And I'm like, she's tough as nails.
You have no idea.
To like go up to some street thugs in the middle of the night in Mozambique. This was over 20 years ago. Yeah. So it's not like now. I feel like now she people in the nation know who she is now, and maybe not full.
No, they do. They do, but not in the way that you would think.
But this was like 20 something years ago, and she's like with authority confronting them.
Oh yeah.
I was like, man, that I've always hit that in my mind. Like, she's tough as nails. Like, people would see her on stage doing the stuff you're talking about. I don't think they would.
They have no idea.
They'd be surprised to see that part of her.
I've watched her run to riots.
Yeah.
Into the center of riots and fall on the ground and cry out, "Forgive me that I didn't have enough food." They were rioting over food. Like, please, like tears down. And I've watched entire riots just stop.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm telling you, dude, I've seen stuff. And that's the hard, I think that's the hard part. Nobody wants their mom and dad to be like hurt, right? I'm not saying I'm her son, but like, I really love them. And I just wish if people really knew, listen, nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that they're perfect at all.
Yeah.
At the end of it, she's just a normal woman.
Yeah.
Like, she really is. Rollins, a normal, they're just, and that's one of the things I love about them the most is they are normal, but they're also high capacity, crazy servants. But like, at the end of the day, man,
you just hang out with them, they're normal. The second thing that I wanted to say was about the school. I was pretty sure, and I could be wrong, but you can tell me, she went and kept praying like around this tree.
Yeah. And
the Lord spoke to her like, this is going to be a university.
We have a couple of stories like that. One, maybe the one that you're referencing was the Lord gave her a vision to start like a primary school. I think this was years ago. I'm sure that happened here as well. Like there was some story, but I think the one that you're referencing, and this is one of my favorites, is like, she had this word from the Lord to start a school. And so everybody thinks, get a building, hire teachers. And she's like, no, I'm just going to start it. Starts it under a tree.
Yeah.
And then finds a teacher. And she would teach, and then finds a teacher, and gets another one. And next thing you know, and as of a couple of years ago, I don't know if it is like currently this year, we had the top 2 primary schools in all of Mozambique.
Wow.
Yeah.
Started under a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maputo and Pemba. And like, I don't have the numbers, but it seems like well over 1,000 kids.
I saw some students that like went to Stanford that was a part of Iris.
100%.
Like grew up as orphans.
Yeah.
And went through the system, went to these schools you're talking about. And then they're like Ivy League.
Yeah, we have incredible connections all over the world. And there was a summer program where kids were sent to go to Stanford, which potentially would open up doors. It's hard to remember all of them because I think it's over 8,000 children have been taken in. I would like to say this. We are currently not building any new children's homes. We're actually switching models to reintegration. So I think Iris was really known early on for taking in kids.
Yeah.
We still do that. We'll always stop for anyone, but we've switched the model from children's homes into individual homes and reintegration. Some of the statistics, this is the UN puts these out. 75% of all kids in large-scale children's homes actually have a mother or father that's still alive, which means they're not an orphan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so So we've been working on a beautiful model with partnering with other organizations on reintegrating.
It's like, how can we make the whole family whole?
Yeah, and let me just say, I don't want to take us on the side road, but I think a lot of people go, "Oh, I want to start I want to serve the Lord and do orphan care," and they get this vision of like, I'm going to take in all these kids. Number one, if 75% of those kids have a mother or father, you're actually dividing the family.
Yeah.
You're actually destroying the thing that God put on this planet.
Yeah.
To raise kids up. And the statistics show, even if it's an aunt or an uncle, grandma or grandfather that has the support and has the ability for the education and aid, like, it's better that they grow up with them than at a large scale children's home. Yeah. So we've had to grow as the world has grown and do our best to switch models. Listen, we will take in anyone, but we're really trying to grow, and we have grown a lot as an organization. We've had some, we faced a bunch of issues with it, as well over the years. Yeah.
Wow. So what is the future, if you had to predict it, for Will Hart? You have now pastoral duties. You have full-time assignment leading one of the largest missions movements in the world.
I wouldn't say the largest, but I would say
just statistically.
I actually don't know those. I don't know those statistics.
ChatGPT before you got here, and I sent it to your son. I'm like, here's what ChatGPT said about your dad, and then on top of that, you still have. I know you've trimmed back, but you have an itinerant schedule still.
Yeah, I leave for.
So you talk about the beginning. You're like,
hold on. I want to see what ChatGPT said about me.
I had it summarize it to be a little more succinct.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but you got my. I want to know what the.
Let me go to your text with your son, who said very explicitly, "Do not mention him on this podcast." And here
we won't mention you, Josh, on the podcast.
Will Hart is a Christian leader, global missionary, and itinerant speaker with a heart for revival discipleship in the nations. He serves as the CEO of Iris Global, working closely with Roland and Heidi Baker to help lead one of the most influential missions movements of the last generation. Through Iris Global's work in over 30 nations, millions of lives have been impacted through salvation, church planting, humanitarian aid, and the demonstration of God's love and power around the world.
That's what it says?
That's what ChatGPT told me.
Wow.
And I sent it to your son, and he said, crazy.
It is crazy. And honestly, like, I would say, except that I lead this, all of those things are very true. As far as my heart, I'm not leading this thing. I'm a leader, I'm a voice, but I cannot lead this.
It's great to say that.
Heidi and Roland and our missionaries and our team around the world leads this. I'm just, here's what I say about leadership.
Well, everybody plays a part, you know what I mean?
Yeah, when things go right, it's them. And if something goes wrong, it's my fault. And that's what I try to live, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's thousands and thousands of people.
So that's what ChatGPT said.
That's crazy. I've never looked.
You've never
myself.
GPT'd yourself?
No, dude.
I GPT'd you. So there you go. But yeah, so you're pastoring now locally. Which I'm excited for that experiment and just to see what God's going to do. I'm going to come and hang out with you again on a Wednesday or something when I get a chance.
Everybody's excited. I'm just tired.
We're like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Like, I'll probably be like in the green backstage praying for you. Like, oh, you got this.
It's a tiny church. Like, it's beautiful. Fits about 200, 220 people max.
Yeah.
I love it.
And you might as well call an architect already. Get some blueprints going. CEO of Iris and then itinerant. And you're talking about me juggling what I juggle.
Dude, you do so much.
You have wife, children. You're on a plane everywhere.
Yeah. I'm trying to cut out the travel in this season. I've sowed the last 25 years of my life into nations, and I know I'm getting on a plane on Monday, but I've really tried to pare that back. I felt like...
What if you're not diamond medallion status anymore?
Actually, I don't care anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. For those of you, what he's talking about is when you fly a lot, you get status, and you have to keep flying to maintain that status. I actually don't care anymore, which is a thing. That's like, that actually was an idol.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say idol. It was like having that was a big deal.
I mean, it's hard to get.
Yeah, they said, I got a letter once. They said I was in the top 1% of the top 2% of all Delta flyers, as far as the amount that I was flying.
In miles that you were doing, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to be loyal to Delta if that's your strategy,
No,
because there's
I'm
some
loyal.
other airlines that you
Delta-
could fly on. That's
Nah, I only fly the best.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I love Delta.
Delta's the best. Here's my rule though. Just my personal rule is always go nonstop first, and then Delta second.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, if you're flying, let's say, to Texas,
Dude, I get it.
you can go there in 2 hours. Or if you're on Delta, you'd have to go to Atlanta, and then they're at 6
Now,
hours.
if you want to hit that diamond every year, baby.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, bro.
I always do Delta.
I know. That's what I know that about you. And
I learned to use, so you learn to use your layovers, right? So I would I set my life up around those. They actually became a time where I could actually get work done, is on those layovers.
I've seen you in a Sky Lounge once.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see you. You texted me. You're like, bro, are you in the lounge?
Yeah.
It's like,
no, I
it's
love
like, this
it.
is what you do here? You're working.
Do you know I almost lit a plane on fire once on Delta?
You were smoking?
No, definitely. My laptop caught on fire.
Oh my god!
On the flight.
Was it a
Yeah.
MacBook?
It was. Okay, this is what I've been told.
Did you buy an off-brand charger?
No, it was better than that. So this is what I've been told by Delta pilots, more than one. This happened a few years ago. I was flying. I got my laptop stuck in between the seat, and I adjusted my seat, and it just cracked it open. I reached down to pick it up. 2.5 foot, 3 foot flame shoots out of the corner. Do you know that? That announcement, like, hey, if your device falls in between the seats, call an attendant.
Yeah.
That happened. That came out after my situation, and I've been told by more than one pilot that it was connected to that event.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
bro! You've changed air traffic forever.
Listen, that's what I've been told. I will say this: it was the first time. Like, I got a call from Ed Bastian, the CEO, after it all went down. Yeah, it was sketchy. It was very sketchy.
Did they give you free miles forever?
No, they did give me. They upgraded me on the way back. They gave me 100,000 miles because they found out that it was a fault in their seat.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, bro!
Yeah, there was like a fail safe it shouldn't have done.
Did they buy you a new computer?
Actually, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Well, dude, I had people that told me later on, like flight attendants that I know or pilots I know, they're like, you could have
got a lot more.
They're like, you could have done a lot, and they were
You could have
upset.
got your own jet, bro, if you wanted.
But I'm just not that guy.
I know.
I don't care.
Yeah, who needs a jet?
I mean, yeah, dude, I love Delta. Delta's strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Delta. I got Diamond this year.
You did?
Yeah.
I remember when I first got Diamond. No, I'm just kidding.
The thing is, bro, I'll tell you, I don't care. I even with Diamond, I'm gonna pick the best flight out of the city. I don't care what airline it is. I don't have that. I'm not like loyal to them like you are. I'm like, what is the nonstop? That's my rule.
Yeah, I have a couple million miles with them.
I don't have that many.
Like lifetime miles, yeah.
That's a little insane.
It is. The first million I hit was awesome. I was like, yes, I've made it. Because, dude, when you're in the itinerant world, you get this. Like, you get used to the hotels, you get used to the planes.
I sleep better in hotels, I think.
Bro, that's weird. That's not a good thing. But I kind of understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then, but when I hit my second million, it was like deep, dark depression. I was like, what have I done with my life? Like, I've been gone so much. All that being said, I'm looking forward to a season of dialing it back for a little while, just to really focus on building out the church. And
I was on a
team.
plane just a couple days ago, and they came in. Like, Mr. Feller, we just want to thank you for being Diamond. And this woman next to me, she's like, ooh, look at you, someone special I'm sitting next to. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I think it's just because I moved up in the status. And she's like, well, I have a friend who had 10 million miles. And I'm like, I told her, I said, I pray to God.
Yeah.
If I get to that level of having to travel that much, I'll have my own plane.
Yeah.
And then she was like, don't get your own plane, just rent one. And I was like, all right, I'm done with this conversation.
Conversation's over.
Yeah, but she wanted to like school me on the economics of plane ownership. But yeah,
it's funny, like flying as much, you actually start to understand why people begin to invest in jets. Like, because I did the math once. I was averaging there was a season where I was averaging about 300, 320 physical airline, not like rollover miles and like the actual miles that they count. They're called like status miles. And I was doing about 300,000 a year.
Wow.
So, and I did the math. It was like, it's been a long time, but it was something like back and forth to the moon 3 times, or like to the moon and back to the moon. Like, it was insane. And I did the math. I was sitting in an airline seat like this, just in a seat. That's not layovers. This isn't going to the airport. This isn't like physically, but in a seat for 30 days a year, 24/7. I was sitting in a chair.
That's horrible, man.
I know.
Exactly why I said what I said to that woman. I'm like, man, I pray to God if I get...
That's a month of your... That is 2 months of your like awake life.
Yeah.
Every single... Just sitting in a chair.
Have you had bad turbulence?
Well, I've been through... I've had people die on flights. I've had multiple people pass out. It just happened... horrible turbulence.
Have you ever brought somebody back to life? Happened to me once.
Please extrapolate.
I'll tell you. You know Frankie Mazzapica?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
I'm on a plane. I'm heading to his church.
Yeah.
And Randy's there. And I'm very tired. It was an early flight. I have my head on the tray like this, and I hear the biggest thud.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I look over, and there's like this, probably I think he's 7 foot tall dude.
Yeah.
And his head is just down in the aisle. And the flight attendants are freaking out.
Yeah.
They had no chill. They were running up and down the aisle.
Yeah.
One of them starts yelling, "Get a diabetes checker, get a diabetes checker." They do the thing on the intercom. It's been about 6 minutes at this point. They're like,
and he's still out on the floor.
He's totally out. They said, "Is there a doctor on board?" The guy, bro, right across the aisle from me,
No.
raises his hand.
No.
He said, "I'm a doctor."
Get out of here.
So what?
He hasn't done anything?
He hasn't done anything.
That doesn't make sense.
So I'm like, maybe he felt like he had to wait.
He didn't take his oath.
Something happened. Anyways, so then he reaches down, holds up the guy's hand, says, "No pulse," just throws it down. That's it. Like
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
You're joking.
No, he's totally disengaged from the whole thing. Like the guy's like, "No pulse." And then the flight attendants are still freaking out. There's like a nurse up there. They're trying to figure out what's going on. This is probably 20 minutes into it. The guy's not breathing. No pulse. The doctor's totally disengaged. And then there's nothing more for them to do. So he's just laying there. Everybody just kind of scatters. And I'm looking at the person next to me. I'm like, you think they would, can we stop? We're like flying over Birmingham at the time. Like, can we do a little stop? There has to be a hospital in Birmingham because we're going to Houston we're flying to Houston where Frankie's church is at, where I was going.
Yeah.
And nothing. They're just like, they just kept going. And then 20 minutes in, the guy goes, like that. Just sets up and does that. And he like,
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And he just kind of looks around. The flight attendant comes rushing over.
Are you saying a 40-minute span?
Yes, it was intense, bro. And I was like praying for him, but I didn't feel like I had the authority to pray for him. The doctor didn't care about what was going on. The flight attendant freaks out, runs, tells the people that are in the seat, like, scoot over, let him sit on the edge. He sits down on the edge. They kind of tell him what happened. The plane lands. He stands up, gives a speech, like, "Hey, guys, I don't know what happened. I was out. Sorry. Thank you, guys." The whole plane claps. Just gets off the plane.
No. So I've seen maybe 5 or 6 people faint on planes, like pass out in the aisle.
Did they have a pulse?
I never checked because I've passed out on planes more than once. Yeah.
Oh my God.
You spend that much time, like, and there's something about the altitude. Recently I sat next to a woman who just threw up on me for 4 hours nonstop.
On you?
All over me. So I'm.
Did you get 100,000 miles for that?
No. In fact, I got yelled at a lot because I went and I sat with her and held her hand for a little bit. And
you were ministering to her.
No. Like I was flying back from California. It was nonstop flight, LA to Nashville. And I just got in my first car accident ever. That was like my fault. Destroyed a rental car. It was chaos. And so I was so like frazzled and like I just want to get home, and I didn't have insurance on it. Like it was just a bad day. So I'm like, I'm flying back, and I was like, Lord, please, if you love me, give me an upgrade. And I got upgraded. So I'm sitting in first, and they're like, hey, Mr. Hart, thank you so much for being Diamond and flying with us today. They're like, what would you like?
It's the woman next to you, like,
Yeah.
"Wah."
No, like, no, she wasn't. But like, so they're like, what would you like for a meal today? Like, we have this and this. And I was like, they're like, we have a fantastic steak.
Did you say Shake Shack burger?
I was like, steak. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, thank you, Lord. I'm sorry I got so frustrated. and like the dude,
How every good story
the
gets
dude
set up.
next to me, he's just like, I don't know, we connected for a second. And so we're sitting there and we're like, yeah, we got some steak. And we're like, I go in and I hear, I have my headphones on. I hear like what appears to be like a Coke opening up. Like, and I feel this mist on my neck. It's like on my arm. I'm like, that's so weird. I just like keep eating. And then another minute later, I hear and I feel this mist. And I grab my napkin and I start wiping off my hand. And it's like nasty stuff. It was all over my food. I was actually eating it.
Mamma mia, bro.
And I thought, and and this poor woman behind me had some allergic reaction, and she started violently vomiting.
Oh!
And so I was covered in it. This doesn't happen to you on flights?
No!
I was covered in it, and so was the dude next to me. And like all of a sudden, you smell it. And then I will say this about first class.
It has to be bad if you can smell it on a plane. Was it an international
It was
flight?
on me.
I know, but your senses don't pick up smells as much on a plane.
No, it was LA to Nashville, and this was like the first 30 minutes. So I
Did you have a lay flat on one of those, or was it just normal?
It's just normal seats. And so like I'm like, what can we do to help? So we just start cleaning up. I'm wiping stuff down, and of course, like she has a baby. The baby's crying. Her father who's sitting back there.
She vomited or the baby?
She did.
Because a
She
baby,
vomited.
you can.
Yeah. No, she vomited. And then next thing you know, there's like, is there a doctor? And she grabs her EpiPen. She was like highly allergic to something. I don't know what happened.
It's your steak, bro.
Long story short, the dude sitting next to her like took off. Because like first class, some people are awesome. Some people are just like jerks.
Pretentious.
They are jerks. Like, and I mean, you get that anywhere on airlines, but like everybody, she just felt so bad. And I just went and I sat next to her and I was like, I'm a dad, like, and I'm a husband, like, can I just sit here with you? And she would just violently throw up. And then the flight attendants made me move. And and we almost landed. She did it for 4 hours. 4 hours. And I was just covered in vomit.
Why didn't they put her in the bathroom?
You know what? Looking back, that's a great question. I think she had a baby for a little while, and like so their father was giving the baby back and forth, but they were also trying.
Oh, her father was there too?
Like way in the back, and they were also trying to make sure that she didn't like pass out and die, like choke or something like that. But yeah,
Dude, that's rough.
that's not. I've had a lot worse.
I would have thrown up.
Yeah, you want to. You just choke it down. Like, that's not the worst. That's not the worst. There's been a lot worse.
You just choke it down.
Yeah, you just, come on. That's the rule with going on missions. Like, throw up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Colby was on, he was talking about the trash dump that they were serving in.
Yeah, I sent him to Brazil.
Sent him to Brazil. We talked extensively about what happened there. And I'm like, I don't think the smell alone, I think I would have.
It's bad.
It would get me.
One of our missionaries down there tells a story of taking these kids that live in the dump to a shopping mall. And, when I say live in a dump, anything that you're imagining is much nicer than what this place actually looks like.
Flies everywhere.
Dude, it is filth. And there's people that live there. And they live in the dump. They're raised in the dump. Very few of them get out. And she takes this group of kids, I think, to go see a movie at a mall. And it's their first time in the mall. And she says she's walking in the door and a kid reaches in to their pants and pulls out like a tapeworm or something like that had worked its way out of them, and throws it on the ground as they're walking in the mall. She kind of like kicks it off into the trees. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you see in missions. I've seen infections that, wow, yeah, just things that blow your mind, things that you will never see.
I've had people have the nastiest wounds, and they want you to lay hands on it and pray for it, and then you just have to do it.
You don't have to.
You
just go around, or
I had them put their hand on top of it, and then I put my hand on top of their hand.
Dude, I've had some crazy stuff. So you see crazy stuff. It is actually, as you serve the poor, you receive something that you need, and I think that's what a lot of people miss. A lot of people miss it. I'm not saying you have to go to the trash dump, but serve the poor, man. Sit with them. Here, ask them questions, ask them stories. How'd you get here?
Yeah.
What's going on? And the reality is, they don't necessarily want anything. They just want to be seen. They just want to be talked to. They just want relationship.
It's all anybody wants.
Yeah.
Connection, really.
Are you gonna make another statement about communion? No, I'm just kidding. The elements. No,
Yeah, let's do it.
No, but like honestly, that's all that it is. Jesus came down and he sat.
No,
And he
it
served.
actually, my analogy actually was true and good in the sense that it's is exposing yourself to something that's abnormal.
100%.
Any final words you want to share?
Dude, I'm good. Actually, yeah. First of all, I haven't said this to you. At least I think I texted it. But congratulations.
Thank you.
We were worried about you. Not anymore. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I'm a new man.
No, like legit. Congratulations, man. And
Thank you.
You found an amazing bride.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I love it. I love it. Welcome to
the club.
Welcome to the club. Yeah, it's the cup of joy and suffering. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Moosey. That's my wife. No, it really is amazing. I'm so excited to see even how your perspective shifts.
Oh yeah,
on things.
Already has.
It is the fastest way to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you let it.
Yeah.
But no joke, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was out of the country, I think, when I got the invitation, man.
Yeah.
But
we sent you a little jar with the.
Yeah, it was probably one of the coolest wedding invitations I've ever seen. Congratulations, my man. Like legit, congratulations. We're so pumped for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's your final words?
Dude, I didn't have any start words except hi.
Okay. Let all that is within you praise the Lord. That's
Final words. Bless you guys. Love you guys. And thanks for listening to me. And dude, can I tell them about my little podcast?
Tell it. It's more than a little podcast.
Green Room. Go to our YouTube channel, Iris Global. And we got podcasts. We got videos about basses. You got a lot of stuff that you can see. The Nkele music video, all that stuff is on our YouTube channel. And thanks for hanging out.